welcome to another Source Elements live webinar. Today, I'm super excited to talk about SourceNexus Free and everything that you need to know. I'm going to be joined by Robert Marshall and Jace, who are big players in the product ownership of this. So just to get started off quickly here, if you haven't created a Source Elements account, that's what you're going to want to do first and foremost. That is your gateway to being able to use SourceNexus, if you will. So just create one of those. It takes only a few minutes and it's free to do. Once you have created an account, what you're going to want to do is log into the user dashboard area. And from within the user dashboard area, you are going to notice a button in the top left underneath the Source Elements logo that says Launch SourceNexus Gateway Session. So you're going to want to go ahead and click on that. And what you will be brought to, oh, sorry, my Windows got all messed up here, of course, right in time for the show. You are going to be presented with the login window. Now, there's a couple scenarios here. If you're a guest that's joining someone else's session and they've provided a passkey, you'll see this window and you'll be able to just type in their username and the passkey that they provided and click join. Now, if you're a host, what you do is click on the host tab, and your username would already be in the field, and you can just hit start session. Now, if you've been emailed an invite from somebody, you might see a window that looks a little like this. And again, sorry for my cameras being in the wrong spot. And much simpler. You'd just be able to click join session. So a couple different ways of going about that, and we can unpack that further in a moment here. After this page, you'll be brought to, oh boy, the device assignment. So the ins and outs of the devices that are connected to your call. SourceNexus Free is an audio-only experience, so you're not going to have to deal with any web camera assignments or anything like that. But you will notice that you have a display name, which will be how you appear in the session, and a microphone and a speaker. This is your audio, microphone being your audio input and speaker being your audio output, if you will. You'll notice there's a button for Use Original Audio HQ as well. If you turn that on, it is going to get the maximum quality that you can get to send your signal. There's ups and downs to that. If you turn this on, it's going to defeat echo cancellation and noise removal and signal optimization stuff that allow your voice to be heard really easily. So depending on the context of what you're trying to do, you'll use that setting on or off. If I were to go ahead and log in to the free Nexus Gateway, you'll notice that I have a couple guests here. I'm joined by Robert Marshall, as I mentioned earlier, founder of Source Elements, and Jace Kibbers, who is the product owner for SourceNexus. Maybe you guys want to just say hello here.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So we're going to move into the premium version of the gateway, just so we can look at everyone's web cameras and we can talk a little bit more naturally. And we're probably going to go back and forth and explore some of the differences in the UI between the free version and the premium version, if you will. So I'm just going to go over to the gateway with cameras. There we go. And you see everyone. And maybe to start things off, maybe just give us a bit of an overview about what is SourceNexus? What's the philosophy, if you will?
So SourceNexus is primarily sort of a way for audio professionals to connect with their clients who might not be audio professionals. That's probably the simplest way of saying what Nexus is. And it can be used in a variety of ways for mix engineers to stream their mixes. That's with the paid version. SourceNexus Free provides a high quality mono audio connection. It goes up to 256 kilobits per second mono, which is extremely high quality, and it can be used for a lot of things like podcasting and whatnot. But there's some, obviously some differences between the paid version and the free version. So, a really great environment to connect with as an audio professional, to connect with your clients in a variety of workflows. I think that's the simplest way to say what Nexus is. What are the Chase, what's the same and different sort of between Nexus, SourceConnect now and Nexus Free? Let's start with that as far as what's the same and what's different between those two.
Yeah, sure, of course. So, well, right now we're looking at SourceNexus Gateway. So this is not the free version because we have our video windows open here.
Hmm.
So that's going to be the first major difference between SourceNexus Gateway and SourceNexus Free. The free version is audio only, so you wouldn't see any video component to it at all.
Right, but
Um,
we didn't have sorry to but like just comparing now to Nexus Free, we didn't have video in now anyways. So as far as
yes, that's true.
differences between SourceConnect now, just so everyone who's leaving now is like put stress free, and there's very little things that are
Yeah, of
different.
course.
The
So I mean,
name is
we
this, you know.
we designed SourceNexus Free to be a replacement for SourceConnect now. So almost every single feature of SourceConnect now exists in SourceNexus Free, with some new features that don't even exist in SourceConnect now. And I mean, the biggest advantage with SourceNexus is that this is a brand new system that we've designed from the ground up. SourceConnect now is a 10-year-old web application at this point.
Right.
And we've seen many issues that have come along with that, and we wanted to build something better and something modernized for the future to move forward with. So with SourceNexus Free, what you're getting, high quality audio transmission. So that was, the main feature in SourceConnect now is this is just a web page that you can send and receive high quality audio through. So you're getting the same audio quality that you would get from SourceConnect now in SourceNexus Free. So yeah, up to 256 kilobits per second mono, and it has a lot of the other same features. So if you wanted to invite anyone to join you, you can just use the invite link that's at the bottom of the SourceNexus Gateway page, and it'll send an email invite to anyone you want to invite. All they have to do is click the link in the email, and then they're joining the session.
Right. So these new email invites have the passkey embedded in them. You don't have to send them the passkey separately or put it in the email invite. It's just a link that they click.
Right, exactly. So from an email invite, if you receive that, you just have to click the link. You don't have to send the passkey with that. Um, yep. So it definitely simplifies the joining process there. And then, yeah, I mean, also we have a built-in recorder, which it records the audio that you're sending. So this is useful for recording like a backup of the audio that you're sending into the session. So each individual person that wants to record themselves would have to select that, and then it'll start recording. As soon as you finish the recording, it'll download the file. So for the
Right. So the
host
automatic
engineer,
download is another nice new feature.
yeah, that's true.
I just have a question about that. That audio file that we download, what's the quality like? Is that sort of like the same quality that I'm streaming out to you, or does it exist sort of in a more local sense, like coming right off of my driver or something like that?
Yeah, so it's recording. So it is recording the quality that you're sending at. So, for example, if you didn't have the high quality audio turned on, it would actually record the processing
Transmission.
that's happening when you have the like echo cancellation and noise reduction on. So
Mhm.
if you want to get the best quality recording, make sure that you have the high quality option turned on first of all.
Hmm.
And then yes, it records it uncompressed, so it's uh, I believe 48 kilo 48K sample rate and 16-bit PCM audio.
Yeah. Well, so just to maybe show that a little bit here, I just want to go like none of us have HQ audio on right now, but we're all in headphones.
Right.
And so maybe let's just talk for a second about why should I be wearing headphones if I'm going to use the HQ audio? I know the answer to this, but I'm kind of keen to I've got the
Yeah,
experts
so
here, so
that
maybe we
is
can
really
expand on that.
important. If you're using HQ audio, because there's no echo cancellation and no noise reduction, what would happen if you didn't have headphones on and you had speakers? Your microphone would pick up the audio from the other people in the session and feed it back to them through the microphone. And that's going to cause a whole mess of audio issues. So,
Hmm.
right now you're right. Yeah, none of us have high quality audio enabled, so we actually don't need to be wearing headphones.
That's true.
But
Yeah.
if we all were to turn it on, then it would work completely fine since we're all already
Here
equipped
we
for
go.
that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna.
Do I
This is
do I
how I
sound
can.
that much better now?
Yeah, and it's the high quality audio setting you can change on the fly. When you first join the session and you're at the media settings preview window, you can change a number of different settings there, including enabling or disabling the high quality audio. But you can also go back to that settings page at any time during the session by clicking the
Yeah,
settings wheel at the bottom.
let me just show that here quickly so the viewers are
Yeah.
seeing a screen capture of my gateway instance right now. I'm the host, so you'll notice a couple different things here, and we'll kind of get through there. But when I turn on HQ audio, and anyone else that's in this chat that has HQ audio on, you're going to notice this little icon that exists below the meters. And for anyone who has watched our previous streams that has tuned into this one, where we've now got volume trims, but we promised and we delivered. So if I hover my mic, sorry, I'm juggling too many displays here, over Jace's window, when my mic, not my mic, my mouse, when my mouse is over top of a guest window, I have this volume trim, and you can't see my mouse right now because of the way I'm streaming this, but yeah, so now we have independent level controls for everyone that's connected. I know that was a big feature request, and we're excited.
Yeah,
excited to
like
have
for
that
us, you
out.
actually might want to turn your mic up, I think.
Oh, my
I
mic
believe.
up is possibly.
You turn us down, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I can probably also just get in closer on the mic here too. I've got this dynamic mic with needs a bit of a cloud lifter in it, if you will. But let's jump back into. There's so many questions I know that we have received. So let's we talked about high quality audio, the reasons why you want to have headphones on. Obviously, anything coming through the speakers is going to come back, and you're going to get unwieldy echo loops. And this is what we're philosophically with Nexus Suite trying to eliminate as much as possible, right? And we'll get into some of the other tools that exist to manage feedback loops and mix minus and stuff like that. But focusing on Nexus Free today, we have talked about the record button, and I believe
I guess it's the new stuff, really. So the new invites don't need a passkey, and we have now echo cancellation as an option. And you still have the option to to turn on high quality audio, and you have the same bit rates there. I think a really big new one is that it has mobile support, so you can use it in iOS and Android. I think that's a huge new feature of the free version. And the other one that I think that was mentioned, although I really don't know what the exact difference is it handles corporate firewalls better. Although, don't ask me to go into details.
Yeah, we need
Yeah,
Rebecca
exactly.
to join for that.
Yeah,
Right.
without going into too many details about that, everyone should have a much higher connection success rate. So while SourceConnect now, it was not nearly as advanced as Nexus Gateway is when it comes to navigating firewalls and establishing connections even under the most strict network conditions, and even under extremely strict conditions where Nexus Gateway may still have some problems. We do have some other options. If you contact our support about it, we can find a solution for a specific scenario too. So it should still be possible even under those conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another huge advantage of Nexus Gateway over SourceConnect now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in SourceConnect now you could only remove other participants, but now you can, as the host, mute other participants. I think that's another new feature in the
Yeah, well, so in
over.
SourceConnect now you could actually mute the other participants as well, but it worked a little bit differently. So you would only be muting them for yourself in
Right.
SourceConnect now. So only
Which you can still do, and you can still do that in Nexus
Yeah, so now
Gateway.
you have both options in Nexus Gateway. One, you can mute them so that you're not hearing them, or adjust their level however you see fit using the new level meter or volume meter controls available for each participant. So if you turn that all the way down, then they're muted, but that's only for you. That's just the audio that you hear through your output. There's also a control. It's under the participant's side
Ross,
window.
is it possible for you to jump onto that like to kind of show some of these on the screen?
Yeah, Ross, if you
Yeah,
go
of
to the
course. Sorry, I was
participants.
just reading some
If
of
you
the
just like hover to the side of the video, you'll see the
the
figure.
questions here. But yeah, the participants view. There you go. So
Yeah, so then you would see next to each participant as the host. The host is the only one with these controls. You can either mute the person, and if you did it through this way, then it would mute them. It would actually mute their microphone on their side, so they're no longer sending any audio to anybody. So they're muted for the whole
I
group of people.
I think this is just a kind of a funny one. We've had a few requests for people to be able to unmute somebody, and it's not going to happen.
It's a privacy issue.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's something that we want to keep exploring to see how that could be achieved, because I understand in a certain production environment, you would want that control, but yeah, it is a privacy and a security issue potentially, which we've really considered a lot of those things, in this platform. As far as like the video window you see and what's visible, to yourself versus other people. And then also that, like, if you mute your microphone and someone else unmutes it, there could be audio then streamed that you didn't intend to or something along those lines. And that could be a privacy issue. So yeah, that's something that we might need to investigate further. But
well, I know talking about video talks about the premium version for a minute here, but it seems like an appropriate point to maybe jump off on that, because I think it's really interesting that for people at home that are viewing, you'll notice that my screen and my camera is quite wide, and Robert's is quite close to him. But Robert on his side might actually see something slightly different. That's all right. But that's designed so that I have confidence that I know what I am streaming out. Possibly. Someone I might be streaming to might be on an 8K display with different dimensions, and the app needs to be able to respond and kind of collapse down. And so there's always little sort of framing decisions that are made in the responsive UI side of things, but it's designed in such a way that you have a view that gives you confidence to know what's out of frame, what's in frame. My dirty laundry's below, the shorts on.
So some other differences
Yeah.
there you're talking about the video, which is in the paid version of Nexus. Some other questions is just to get finished with sort of the free version.
Yeah, please. Let's hear 'em.
How do you deal with free with your recording software? And basically, there's two main ways. You're either going to use an aggregate device setup, and that's basically connecting virtual devices, which you can download, and with your hardware audio device to do your routing. You can do it with multiple hardware audio devices feeding into each other. Some workstations, some DAWs have their own external routing built into them. You can use that. But if not, you're probably jumping up to the Nexus suite, which provides a whole suite of plugins for doing various routing setups for you. So if you're using it just to flat out, if you're using it as a talent and you just want to send audio out of your DAW, you'd use an aggregate device. If you're bringing audio out back in from your DAW, you can record the aggregate device. There's a few ways of doing that. The whole subject of a mix minus came up, and you're setting up your own mix minus in that sense, or in that case. And then there's also, you can record those people directly in your DAW, or you have the recorder built in where they can send you the files and you can just import those files into your DAW. So that sort of covers the section, so to speak,
Yeah,
of how you use Nexus Free with your DAW.
And if
so go
anyone's
ahead, Ross.
finding that vague in any way, we're going to do a follow-up video that shows kind of each workflow. I think in short order here, I think we're going to keep rolling these things out. And there are so many different ways to use solutions like this that there isn't going to be one statement that I can just summarize, and everyone's going to get it and how they use it differently. So, there's all of those methods make a lot of sense, and we'll do our best to just show them all and show them in short format, so that
and
it's
they
really
exist
easy.
from that. Those are the same methods that you would use to use SourceConnect now with your DAW. So it's really no different. It's
Exactly.
all those things are in our archive, in our how to
We have lots
how
of
to do an aggregate
resources on
device.
this.
The next big question that keeps on coming up is, well, how is Nexus different than SourceConnect standard? And that's the whole point. They are different. And this isn't like, do I need one or the other? You might need both. They're for different purposes. So, Nexus provides a connection that's very easy to set up with a guest who's not does not have an account, and it does its best to provide a very high quality audio connection, but it is using a browser. primarily. And it's using a system that, while making it extremely easy for guests to hook up and connect in with, it's not necessarily the same platform that gives you a very, very high quality audio connection to be recorded by another engineer.
So I
in a
think,
nutshell,
sorry, Robert, just
Nexus is with your clients, and then SourceConnect is with other engineers who are recording you directly. But there's not necessarily a parallel or a where does one, better than the other. I don't think that's an equivalence.
So I should note to everyone that's watching at home, I am on a dismal internet connection in some underserviced part of rural Canada, if you will. And while Robert was just saying that, we actually experience, I think, the talking point of why SourceConnect is beneficial over SourceNexus in the sense. So your audio just stretched to the point where it started to fall apart. And
right. Takes a long time. After that goes, we're going to catch back up. And so that's the thing is by interfacing with your clients very easily, it is using a system. And really all browsers, all products that use browsers have this limitation. They're using features put in the browser to facilitate communications and therefore intelligibility. And all of that is favored over actual true fidelity, true quality. And that's what SourceConnect provides. If you're an engineer and someone said it provides a locked and clocked connection, that might say it all, literally. But essentially, SourceConnect has the ability to let you be recorded by another engineer, and if they're using the system properly, that recording is guaranteed to be perfect, regardless of what happens on the internet with a dropout or some occurrence like that. You're not getting that at all over Nexus. Nexus is good for monitoring. If it's okay with you, it's good enough for recording, but it's not something that if you pulled up your original direct off the mic waveform and the streamed recording, they would be different. You would find time stretches and distortions in bit rate and in time, and that's the reason why Nexus is a better platform. And any of these things, all these other third-party services and all the ones that use browsers like Chrome, that's why they're all better for a client connection, but they're not necessarily the best connection when you're not being asked to just do a self-record and send files later.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Well
clearest way I can say it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if anyone has any questions about that, feel free to drop them in the comments there, and we're going to keep getting through. We have a serious amount of questions to address here, but at the end we'll make sure we catch what everyone's asking there. So, whoa.
I mean, we could just open it up to questions if we want. Is there? I mean.
I
don't think the point of this webinar is to talk about SourceConnect 4. So I know that there were some questions about 3 and 4. And what's the difference? One thing I'll extend is that you, as a talent, might find yourself, for instance, a couple of scenarios could happen. You might be asked to join a Nexus room while also on SourceConnect, because maybe, the engineer wants their client or the clients to see you on camera. And depending on how that engineer wants to set it up, they might have you send your mic through Nexus, or I believe more likely they might actually have you mute your mic in Nexus, because your audio, in that case, would be going up and down SourceConnect, and really Nexus is just there to kind of bring you in a video sense to the room. They might even be playing video back through the Source Live option or the screen share option in Nexus, which is another feature that you get with the paid gateway compared to free, is you can send your screen up. And Ross, you haven't even shown the audio broadcast. If you click on that,
I haven't yet, because we haven't really talked in depth about the free features and the premium features,
or the paid features.
Right, yeah.
But
Since
before
that's not available with Nexus Free.
Yeah, exactly. The dedicated stereo broadcast that taps into the Nexus Review plugin, which I can kind of just bring up a screenshot of here. This is the Review plugin that you would place on your master fader, and everything that's flowing through your master fader goes up into the gateway, into a stream where your guests have control over the levels of that. One person can have it quieter than the other.
And that's a high quality stereo stream without any echo cancellation that they can hear every nuance of. For mixed review, or maybe it's your voice as a voice talent. Could be. And
if I go back to just this other screenshot of the gateway here where it's in action, you can kind of see that there's a bandwidth there associated to the live broadcast that is set to 512. In this example, I'm just going to go back to our live gateway here for a second. What does that...
someone's phone is buzzing too.
That's me. That's the just all over the place. Sorry. The welcome
That's
to my
your
life.
quality setting for
Yeah.
that specific audio stream. So it basically gives you an additional audio stream as the host to send any audio you want on it. So it's designed to perfectly integrate with the Nexus Review plugin that you were just showing,
Yeah.
where you take that plugin and put it on your master fader in your session, and then it's going to automatically pick up your master output and send it. Your mix, exactly, and send it into that separate broadcasting module, so that you can send now just the pure mix audio in high quality on its own, so it's not going to be affected by any other audio streams or any processing. And then you have your virtual meeting room in addition to that. So then you have your talkback mic going into the video chat, and you can hear everybody else, which will send it right back into the Nexus Review plugin. So in the case that you have all your audio streams running through your hardware for your DAW, it'll send it right back into there, so that you don't have to mess around with the settings. Or if it's not even possible, for example, like if you have a Pro Tools HDX system, then it allows you to use that for everything in the virtual session, and it keeps all the audio streams separated, so you can manage them all exactly how you want to.
So just a question about this bandwidth, because I'm in the host role right now. So when I look at this sort of broadcast meter bridge, if you will, for me, the bandwidth is a quality thing. But for you as the guest, you have another setting there, and that, I believe, is the buffer, right?
True. Yes.
So-
So the
Right,
guest
which is
does have that
yeah.
ability in the case that their internet connection might not be the most stable, or for whatever reason, they can increase the buffer size. It'll increase the stability of the stream. The trade-off is that it increases the latency slightly. But I think most users will find they probably don't even need to adjust that setting.
Yeah.
It's
By
it's
default,
pretty
set
solid.
to off, I think, right? I can't remember what it is. I just made that up.
It just has.
I'm not sure, actually.
It's like a low buffer, and it
Yeah.
keeps
Right.
it pretty close to the same as the communication stream.
Yeah,
But
and that
then
makes sense, right?
Each individual user can add buffering to it, so that they can increase their quality if they're having trouble.
Right. Okay.
Which, yeah, and that's really where it makes Nexus Suite so different than any other service, where you're not trying to use two things on the side that weren't made for each other. So now you're breaking the features they have. The echo cancellation doesn't work. You can't figure, or you're trying to use the same service, but that service doesn't have separate inputs, and now you're piling echo cancellation, other stuff onto your audio stream. Here it is all integrated together, so you don't have to try to figure out how to, kind of bolt together and duct tape together different services to try to achieve cohesive remote session.
So I think you touched on this and did it really well earlier, but I think it's worth repeating in the sense is I'm seeing quite a few questions that still relate to SourceConnect versus SourceNexus Free. Is it one or the other? And I feel like we can't say this enough, that it's really like what I think is we've just done is now that every SourceConnect user that's out there now has an additional tool to help them reach their clients. I could be recording talent directly through SourceConnect and have all the fail-safe safety net that's there to make sure that I'm acquiring the perfect audio. And now you have a tool for getting to your clients so that you can, if you have Nexus Suite, you can stream everything that's coming out of your timeline over to your clients. And if you don't have
we'll
Nexus
even have
Suite,
additional features coming up where you can manage
Exactly.
your takes, and you can do your take playback, not
Yeah.
just from your DAW, but if you don't even have a DAW, we're going to have different features like that. But
Mhm.
yeah, to try to really just put it down, I guess, the difference is that Nexus is designed to let you work directly with clients who are not necessarily recording you, and you're in a position where you are self-recording and giving them files later. And it's a good monitoring environment for that, and a good way to organize the session. But if you're in a session, which most ad agencies, most directors, most producers, most audio engineers, when they say, do you have SourceConnect? And this is a big reason why we got rid of the name SourceConnect now, because it confused. Do you have SourceConnect? The answer is no. If you have Nexus, you do not have SourceConnect.
oh no, it's happening to your audio again.
If they're asking you to connect on SourceConnect, there's a reason why. and that is because it provides a better connection to be directly recorded on. And
Yeah.
there isn't this one SourceConnect, or Nexus does not replace, or you can try to shoehorn it into positions where it can kind of do some of the work that SourceConnect will do for you, but it will carry with it all of its benefits and all of its flaws, which include, like we said, time stretching and things that it cannot guarantee that audio quality in even close to the same way that SourceConnect can.
So I think, to go revisit one of the little counterpoints that you just mentioned in there, I noticed that there is a trend in this industry where people are going direct, like there's a lot of voice talent that goes direct to client. And this is an interesting opportunity, right? At that moment where now voice actors are presented with this conundrum that I have to now intersect with the client directly. Where that used to be something that was facilitated by an engineer in the middle, and there's so many advantages to that type of workflow. But Nexus can really empower you to be like a small business and operate as a small business and connect with your clients in that sense. And not thinking about that as a recording need is like you actually just need the client at that point is directing too, and everyone's kind of taking on more roles. And so this is a really interesting bridge between you.
And one interesting point about Nexus Suite is that you can use it with other services. So if you get a call from a client, they say, meet me on XYZ, business meeting connection service, and that's where they want you to work. You flip one switch in the Nexus Review plugin, and you can use it on that service. Now, it's not purpose-built for that, and it has many flaws, like we talked about. So you could also say to your client, hey, no problem. Actually, if you'd like, can I send you a meeting invite on Nexus? And now your client might say, why? And it's like, so you can hear my voice in perfect audio quality, so that I can provide playbacks to you even easier than on the other service, and so on and so forth, just because it's a better environment for running an audio session. But no, there's no audio engineer in the middle here editing and recording in real time. It's just you directly to clients. And in the end, they're going to ask you for audio files in one way or another. They're not recording you. So you are self-recording. And I think that's often the word that's used for it, is self-recording.
And there's another sort of edge case that I can see sort of happening with the free version is like sometimes you just need reference, right? A table read of people doing something, and people are all remote and they need to get into each other or into one place where we can record that as reference, right? Like this isn't going to make it to production whatsoever, but because of that, I don't necessarily need any sort of discrete outputs or anything like that. I might just literally take the speaker the speaker output of the gateway, if you will, and be recording that. And there's obviously all sorts of issues that you can run into the moment you need to try and edit things, and Robert's noise floor is different than mine, and yada yada yada. And all those are outstanding reasons for SourceConnect. But there's definitely there's a scenario where Nexus Free is going to just be the perfect solution to just get a bunch of people that can't have the application installed for whatever reason together into one place, and you're going to have the outstanding audio quality that we're known for inside Nexus Free. And I did see a question there about the audio quality from free versus the premium version, and it had
basically
to do
the same, I think.
Yeah, the killer
between Nexus Free and Nexus Paid. It's more about like what do you get with the paid version? You get the Nexus I/O plugin, which is
stereo.
The original. You're right. You get stereo in the gateway. You get video in the gateway. You get a broadcast in the gateway. You're going to get a recorder and a playback system in the gateway soon, and we're going to put other stuff in the gateway. There's going to be all kinds of workflows that are easy to do in the gateway that are kind of audio and production centric, so to speak. But also what you get in general, besides the gateway and all the little things it provides, is you also get the original I/O plugin. You get the new review plugin, which is sort of like a bunch of I/O plugins and the TalkBack plugin that we originally made, and a few other things all put into one cohesive workflow so that you can just drop it on your master fader and get to work, and you don't have to know how to create a template. You're going to get the next, which is a standalone desktop application. so you can set up routes outside of Pro Tools or whatever workstation you're using, and that way if you're switching and closing and opening sessions, you don't get you don't put a break in your communication, or you can have basically routes that exist outside your DAW. And I think we're going to have other plugins coming up. And what else do you get with Nexus?
Yeah, well, you get the virtual audio driver and the SourceNexus control panel, which that's actually for Mac OS only still. But I mean, yeah, with the subscription, you get a ton of stuff. Yeah. So not only does it enable some of these features on Nexus Gateway that you don't get in Nexus Free, but now you have the whole tool set to integrate Nexus Gateway into your DAW or into any application you're running on your computer. It gives you, it opens everything up basically at that point, and in the most simple way.
The room ID and its association with your username. Do you want to take a crack at sort of explaining how that works? Maybe for anyone that is not a Source Elements member yet, what should they think about when they're registering, and how does all this this work?
Your name right now, the username that you pick is technically a publicly facing username. So that's the one piece of advice I have for people when they're creating a new account. Like that might be the username that you give to your clients and say, log into, so don't call it like I hate my clients as your username, because they will have to type that into, or they might see that essentially.
Right.
So your username is a publicly facing username. Right.
And every Source Elements account has their own unique room, effectively, their own Nexus Gateway.
Their own Nexus Gateway.
Yeah. I love that.
And then if you have SourceConnect, then you're also listed in the directory as having SourceConnect, and that's where producers might be looking for you. And
yeah,
things like
certainly.
that.
I've found quite a bit of talent for that.
So what do we have?
Let me have a look here.
I'm just going through the questions.
How is the playback sync for remote mix reviews? Okay, so we're definitely into the free stuff, or sorry, into the premium stuff. I keep flipping those. It's been a long day.
There's two ways to do the review with video. Nexus Suite has a screen capture, which is kind of a screen share method similar to what you'll see in other communications platforms. And with that, you also still have your high quality broadcast stream. And assuming that you're not too laggy on your computer, those are just going to be in sync by nature of the ingest. There is no slipping and getting really tweaky with it. If you jump up to the live option, which also can feed the Nexus Gateway, then you get a dedicated application that can pull from hardware, from a screen, from a window. It's a little bit more flexible. You can change the size of your window. You can do offsets between the audio input and the video input, so you can sync up if things are not happening there. And so it's a much more precise tool set compared to, hey, here's my Pro Tools screen, let's edit together. Hey, here's my video window, and it's pretty in sync. It's the same as you're going to get with like XYZ video communications platform. But if you want to step up to like real video broadcasting with a content delivery network behind it and a dedicated application, that's the Source Live option for streaming really high quality video from your DAW. I assume that's the question, is like your DAW timeline.
Yeah, and if anyone at home is sort of questioning sync based on what I'm streaming out right now, just keep in mind that this is a stream of a stream of a stream of a stream.
It's Inception.
Yeah.
Streamception.
So, and I would love to run the post-process on this and slip everything back, but just keep in mind that it's just a byproduct of how we have to kind of get up into these webinars here. Yeah. I kind of want to go back to I/O and router for a second, because I think that it's even myself. I find when I've been trying to explain this, it's kind of easy to get lost because they sound the same. And the best way that I've thought about it or reduced it in my mind is Nexus I/O is in the box routing. It's like a jailbreaker for your DAW to get signals in and out of the DAW, and router is all the routing outside of the box. So together, you have no limitations. You can get anywhere you need on your system. In fact, I'm using Router as part of this webinar right now to be able to move signals around. So if I change scenes, they're in the right spot and things like that. So it's an incredibly valuable tool set for me.
Ross, do you have any screenshots of Router that you can show?
Yeah, I have shown one already. It's a bit of a nonsensical screen because
it's like a patch bay inside your computer, essentially, is what it is. So,
yeah, and you can stack as many Nexus devices together and start to just mod how things move and pull channel 1 and send it over to channel 8. And I built a multi-channel recording device more or less for I think one of the previous videos I did, where I had sources all over the place, and I was kind of like, I just need to do a screen capture right now, and I'm going to I used Nexus Control to create a 10-channel device, so I had separation for everything after the fact. And
Nexus Control can be used for other things, like if you have the classic issue where you have a service or some audio application that can only see channel 1 and 2 of a particular audio device.
Yep.
Like Nexus can... between actually Nexus IO and Nexus Router and Nexus IO Control, you could feed that over to 1 and 2 of a device, so that application can be used.
The stability of sorry to cut you off there, Robert. The stability of the Nexus drivers it's worth noting too. Like anecdotally here, like I was playing a video game with a couple friends of mine. We were on Discord, and my audio interface that I use all the time was having clocking errors for whatever reason. I had Pro Tools open. I'm sure I was doing something that you could justify that I'm doing something wrong. And I couldn't get around this issue where there was these kind of cyclical clocking issues that was happening, and it was all stabilized by using Nexus. So I just used Router. I'm like, okay, rather than going directly from my audio interface into this platform, I'm going to use Nexus devices, and it solved all of them. It's super stable when joining devices that are unique together in that sense. So a bit of an edge case, but we're here, so might as well share them.
Yeah, it does that. It converts formats on the fly, so that if you have some sort of issue like that with a sample rate with a certain device or something like that, it should fix that. So that's another nice thing about it, just to have really the best audio stability possible, everything that's running through it.
Mm-hmm.
So how, I think one of the things that we were asked about was like, how do you record if you're on Nexus Gateway and you just want to record somebody, and you can have them set up the high quality audio. But if you have, for instance, if you have the full Nexus suite, you have Nexus review on your master fader, and then someone says, hey, can you record me? And the answer is yes, and very easily.
Mm-hmm.
You would just leave the defaults. The input is to Nexus Chat, and the output is from Nexus Chat within your gateway, because that hooks up properly with the Nexus Review plugin. So then, in the same way that you used to, you can just create an aux channel and put a Nexus IO plugin on it and receive Nexus Chat. And if you route that over to a record channel, you just want to mute it, because you're going to hear everybody through the gateway already, through Nexus Review. So you're just using that to record them, but you don't need to listen to it. If you do listen to it, it's okay. It'll just sound maybe a little bit doubled up for the moment while you're, you might actually want to switch your monitor from one to the other, but I would suggest just muting it. And that way you're just recording right out of the gateway. It's not a separated output. So, you talk about SourceConnect, and that's the advantage of SourceConnect, where you can get multiple people connected and separate outputs from everybody, with clocked and locked connections. And here, you'd be recording the whole gateway output. So everyone else would want to use the push-to-talk option to keep their mics muted when whoever is, being recorded is performing.
I have a question / feature request that from Elliot Thomas says, I love SourceNexus Paid. My question is, when I press the / to talk back to my clients, it ducks my audio feed. Is there any way the audio can duck when the client talks back to me? Any routing I can do?
I saw that too.
It has really. Ross, pop up a picture of the review plugin.
Sure.
And I think the feature request there is basically to have that dim control in Nexus Gateway, so that.
Sorry, can I just could pause you for one sec, Jace? Just because my mouse doesn't show up over top of this diagram, I'll make sure that the next webinar we do. But on the bottom,
chiclets on the bottom. Those are your those select what gets dimmed when you press the
Yeah.
talk.
So, but sorry, go ahead, Jace.
So you
I think
can dim your playback so that. Or sorry.
No, you're fine. Either or.
I was just gonna say, yeah, with the three selectors at the bottom, you can select what gets dimmed when you hit the talkback switch. So you could dim your playback so that you can talk over it. You could dim your clients so that they don't reflect back into the mic, possibly, although some of the echo cancellation should eat that up anyways, possibly. You can dim your clients, and you can turn off and on what gets dimmed, so to the point where there's nothing being dimmed, or either individually or together, the clients, your mix, and your mix going out to your clients. I don't know if that answers that question for that person.
Well, so I think they were. So it sounds like they understand the feature, and that they like that feature. The question, or the feature request rather, is: so is there any way audio can duck when my client talks back to me? So basically, for the clients to also have that feature. So, because right now that's just part of the Nexus Review plugin, and so if Elliot, as the host of the session, has the review plugin and he's using that feature, then it works, obviously. So, yeah, at this point, if for any of the guests or clients to be able to do that too, they would also need to be running the Nexus Review plugin and have it all set up to be routed through that, so that they press the talkback switch and then it can dim I guess, yeah. So. That wouldn't actually work because they're not playing the audio.
They want the broadcast stream dimmed when they talk?
I think it's looking for a bit of an automated ducking thing. So when my client speaks.
I think we can do that. I think we can easily do that. If when they hit their talkback, it dims their broadcast, what they're receiving from the broadcast.
Yeah, or threshold based something.
Yeah. And we could also dim the clients, I think.
Yeah, that's a good feature request. Yeah, so that's not something that we currently do, but that's a great request. So that's something we can definitely look into.
So Colin H says, "What if someone is sending me an invite and I am not the host?" I think we covered that right at the beginning, but I just want to backtrack to it for 1 second. If somebody, well, actually, two things. Let me show. I'm going to click on this invite button. Again, you can't see my mouse, but it's there in the bottom right. Your invite, I could just type in email addresses here, and I could type in multiples at the same time and send out this to a few people. Now, what happens on the other side of that, they're going to get an email that when they click on the link, they're going to get brought to this page. Really simple. Join session or listen only. Joining session is going to give you the ability to use your microphone as a source to speak as well. So listen only is just audio coming back only. So hopefully that answers the question. It should be really straightforward there. Again, the caveat is if somebody has chosen to use a passkey and wants to set it up that way, they're going to provide you with the room link and the passkey information so that you can get in easily at that point. Or hopefully they should provide you the passkey, or you're going to have to ask them for it. For people that are just sort of used to smaller networks and things are a lot more casual, the passkey might not be essential at all. I think that more as a feature for people who have lots of clients back to back to back, and they kind of want to make sure that they're got a nice brick wall in front of the door for people that don't have the credentials in that exact moment. So it's set up so you can change your passkey more or less frequently. If you do change your passkey in the middle of a session, correct me if I'm wrong, Jace, but it's going to boot everyone that's in the session out of the session.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a security feature. So that is one way to clear your room on Nexus Gateway. If you change the passkey, then everyone who's in the room now will have to rejoin using the new passkey. And that's just a safe way also, so if you had given the same passkey out to a different client or something like that, then that they wouldn't have access anymore. Yep. And it also invalidates any email invite links that you had sent out previously.
Right. Thank you for that. Just looking through.
Jace, I have a question.
Yeah.
If you go back to the same passkey, will those email invite links revalidate?
No.
They don't. Okay.
Yeah,
I
no.
think it's important for people to know that.
Yeah, no, the email invite links are actually independent from the passkey. So, the links themselves are what authorize the connection rather than using a passkey to authorize it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just two different ways that you can connect to it. But that everything gets reset when you change the passkey.
Adam asks, so as a voice actor, SourceNexus Free wouldn't work for me for an engineer to record my work. SourceConnect would be the way to go? ?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That would be our recommendation would be not to record across any browser connection. If it's truly the end recording and you're recording live over a system, an application or hardware that really treats the audio as audio and not just some communications that it's trying to do in high quality. So SourceConnect can do that and browsers can't.
Yeah. It's a tricky thing, right, to assess quality, right? Like I don't know how to tell you what's good enough quality for what you're working on, Like it's an impossible thing for us, but we do know that when we talk about SourceConnect, the quality becomes a non-issue. Really. And I think that that's the peace of mind that I'm looking for as an engineer interfacing with somebody. If I'm trying to record, I get the immediate peace of mind if I'm connecting to someone on SourceConnect that I have the full acquisition of the file.
Yeah, I'll kind of put it in a nutshell, I think, because here's often what happens, I believe. A voice talent will get a session request from clients that just want the talent to self-record and send them files. And then maybe after that, the clients are going to send those files with some notes that were probably not well taken, maybe they were, to an engineer who's going to have to cut everything up. And they think in doing this, they're going to save time because the engineer didn't have to be there during the voice record. But the reality is that if the engineer was there for the voice record and it was being done over SourceConnect, the voice record would take half the time. But that doesn't matter. That's not how people think. And they're going to want to do direct sessions and cut the engineer out. And it's kind of unfortunate, but it's just the way it goes. And so here's where Nexus can be used as that sort of shortcut around having someone in the middle, properly running the session, and it's just a self-record and deliver files and.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day,
files.
we're all in the service business, whether you're on the talent side of it or the engineering side of it, and it's kind of an arms race of who's doing a better show and giving a better show to the clients, better quality, better service, and all that stuff. And I think that in the ideal world, you're using SourceNexus Suite and SourceConnect, and that you are going to have the most banging remote production setup there is at that point. Could sprinkle Source Live in there too. I do want to talk about Source Live for a second, intersecting with the Gateway, because there's another benefit there that is worth talking about. Is you get a second screen to share. That's huge. Like in most platforms of browser-based platforms, you hit share screen and that's it, right? Done. It's what else can I share? That's it. It's got to exist on there. And so for Live to be able to bring in this quality video playback environment, plus now I can share my DAW. Now the client really feels like they're sitting over my shoulders in the studio and pointing at my screen and also looking at.
We're gonna make a feature where they can point at it and then like a big fingerprint's gonna show up on your screen.
Well, I actually have a question, I believe, from Stacy about that, and there's a feature request, and we've got Jace here, so we might as well hit him with them all. So it's
Jace
gets logged.
That spreadsheet out with the feature request.
I believe it was. Sorry, let me just find it. Stacy, right.
By the way, shout out to Geraldo, my good friend, who I believe is watching this stream.
Awesome. Good
old friend.
Lost it. Is there a way for clients to drop mixed notes onto the timeline during the playback? I'm going to give you the non-answer, or the chat. Is we do have chat. That's not obviously what you're asking for. I think timeline integration gets outside of this browser environment, but you could use the chat theoretically to drop a note that and there's value to this in the sense that it's a passive notification. Obviously talking in the middle of a take can't do. So it's good to use chat for like non-verbal cues if you need it. So.
I can I can quickly answer Colin's question here. Why would
Yeah.
I need a paid subscription? I assume to Nexus if I never host, or do I need a license? Colin, if your clients never call you and expect you to self-record and send them files, then you might not need Nexus. If you're always being recorded over SourceConnect, then the engineer that you're working with might use Nexus. They might send you a Nexus link one day, just because of video probably at the most, but you might not need it if you're never being asked to self-record with a supervised session with clients who aren't recording you. I hope answers that question.
I see. I just want to make sure that I understand, and Colin, if you're hearing us, you can feel free to respond back if we've missed any angle of this here. But if you are already a SourceConnect owner, and you're hearing what I'm just saying about an ideal world, you own SourceNexus Suite and you own SourceConnect. You don't need to do that. I'm not going to try and force your hand in that direction. I think that there are lots of scenarios where somebody owns SourceConnect and should own SourceNexus Suite. As a studio operator, that makes a lot of sense. Now, if you're just a voice performer and you already own SourceConnect, you might not need SourceNexus. However, you should know what it does because you might interface with one of those sessions like Robert was saying. You might be brought in to chat with clients or to have, hey, let's. I just want to look face to face for a second and talk, or I shouldn't say face to face. They might.
So an agent would want you to be typically on SourceConnect, have your setup like all verified and figured out so that they know that you just have to log in and show up online and they click connect and there you are with your mic and the headphones and everything sorted out. That's what the agents, I think, because what you said here, but an agent requires you to have paid SourceConnect. That's because most likely you are connecting with another audio engineer who's in tandem, got a bunch of ad agency clients or whatever you do, maybe in a Nexus room, and they're all giving you direction, but you have this isolated, separate, really high quality, locked and clocked, very recordable connection from SourceConnect that is direct between you and that engineer. Think of it the same as this. SourceConnect is the booth. It's the live room where the performer goes. Nexus is more the control room where the clients are and all the people who are telling you to do your reads in a ridiculous way. That's where they are. So, yeah.
I am going back to an earlier, like way earlier, on how to launch the gateway. For anyone that joined later, right at the very beginning, we showed how to do that here, and it was from. I'll just go back in this browser for a sec. From the home page, just hit login. You're going to be in the user dashboard area. After you log in, and in the top left corner, you'll see underneath the Source Elements logo, there's a Launch SourceNexus Gateway button. All you need to do is click that. Click that, and you will be brought to the login screen, where if we're talking about hosting at this point and launching a gateway session, you'll just hit Start Session rather than Join Session. So where it says Join Session on the screen, it'll say Start Session, and then you will be right into more or less this view. And if I go back to the gateway, I just want to talk for 1 second that the device ins and outs can be brought back up at any given time in the middle of a call. So it's not your one and only shot to get it right there at the beginning of the session. Click on the gearbox in the bottom, and you'll be brought back to this menu where all of those assignments can be made. I saw a note in there, or a question about for existing owners of SourceNexus, what does the future hold for people with previous licenses of SourceNexus IO? If you are in that scenario and you have not received an email from us, I'm confused because I feel like we have sent out thousands. But just to let you know, there is, I believe we still have the sort of loyalty plan for Nexus IO users to upgrade to subscription, relatively frictionless, right? So
depending on how old your license is, there may or may not be. It might be anywhere from, basically it's either going to be $85 or $1. But if you have a super old license or you have a Nexus basic license, there's some other costs there. But everyone who has a Nexus license has an opportunity to upgrade that license to Nexus Suite. And then they get the legacy loyalty plan, which is $85 a year compared to $132 a year. Or if you're going monthly, it'd be $144 a year. So you're getting it at like at least somewhere around like a 40% discount, I believe. And that's just a long-term thing that we're offering all the original owners of Nexus as a thank you for being early adopters. You get essentially the best rate that anybody will ever get on the Nexus Suite subscription.
Mm-hmm. Very good. I think we still have more to get through here. Good.
Why do you need iLock? I'll just yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. Nexus uses iLock for the plugins that might be used in the DAW. These types of licensing systems are very common with the DAW workflows, so it makes sense that it stays with the plugins, because that's really where iLock was originally kind of created for. But the core Nexus Gateway, there's no iLock to get to a web page. Jace, can you even iLock a web page? Is that possible? I guess maybe you can in some
I don't think so.
But the iLock is for the plugin. That's the point. And that's how plugins are typically across the industry licensed.
Mm-hmm. I think I kind of want to revisit this one because I feel like we might have just missed a slight element of it. Or when I see a question like, why do I need SourceConnect on its own relative to SourceNexus? SourceConnect is an application environment, right? App to app. So that's why both sides need it. So if you're and there's all of the upsides that Robert has mentioned are facilitated because we get outside of the browser. That's where our real superpowers can flex, if you will. So hopefully that clarifies a certain point there. Jeff asks, any elements of Nexus that we might see integrated into SourceConnect 4 as well?
Yeah, so all this stuff will get more and more integrated, and the workflows will become tighter and tighter. Right now, like I mentioned, you might have a engineer that says, hey, connect with me on SourceConnect, but also join this Nexus room and mute your microphone because the clients just want to see you. That might not be necessary in the future.
Mm-hmm.
What else can I say?
I think there's so many routing elements that Nexus Suite provides that I can definitely see how there'll be scenarios where you would maybe use Nexus IO with SourceConnect in the future. It's not a requirement. Obviously, the link plugin exists for anyone familiar with SourceConnect, but the link plugin is, if I'm not mistaken, designed to connect only with SourceConnect. So Nexus together with SourceConnect gets you the full routing capabilities anywhere you need. So I definitely see the scenario where you have both. And I think the gateway, I like to think of this as this common plot that both services touch, right? And you don't necessarily need to own Nexus Suite or SourceConnect to be in the Nexus free version, right? This is something that
you just need a Source Elements account.
Exactly. So I'd like to see, or assume, like for everyone to assume, that we're going to continue to flex the capabilities now of having this sort of meeting environment that both of these services work into. Hopefully that's clear. Tomorrow's a big day. Tomorrow's the big day that SourceConnect Now comes down. So,
click.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions about that, now's a really good time to hit us with them.
So I mean, basically what'll happen is if you try to go to the SourceConnect Now page, instead you're going to see the instructions to start a Nexus Gateway session. And, if you haven't used it before, it might take a minute just to familiarize yourself with everything, but it should be extremely intuitive. All the same settings and controls and features are there that you would expect from SourceConnect Now. Mm-hmm. So it might just take an extra minute to familiarize, but then you should be up and running the same way and even better than before.
I think it's super exciting to bring this to the dashboard area because SourceConnect Now kind of always felt like this tangent on the side or something like that. Like I feel like people, it's like you either knew about it or you didn't in some ways. And so Yeah, it's really exciting now to imagine everyone in the Source Elements community being able to use this and to see it there right in the dashboard. And there's so many things that we're going to do to make your dashboard a really wonderful place to build up your profile and stuff like that. So stay tuned. We got so much more coming.
Oh yeah.
Let me just see if there's any other sort of last questions.
Cue up girl from Ipanema.
Joe said, as a voice talent, artist, and actor, I wasn't sure what to expect here today, but you guys have explained it really well. I get it now. It makes me so happy because
Yes.
I think, it's tricky stuff to try and explain all this stuff, and seeing it's believing it. So you also, I should note, if I want to go back to the free GUI for a second here, in the bottom left, you'll notice that you can start a full feature trial. So if you click that, you can try it for 14 days, get all the free features, explore it all. So if you haven't done that yet, highly recommend doing it. If you've done it and you need a new demo, reach out to support, ask them nicely. I'm sure they can do something for you. But I think that might be it for us today. If there is any other questions, just reach out to support or drop them in the comments. We try and keep an eye on all of it and respond to everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching.
Nice. Well, yeah, great job, Ross. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Ross really
Thanks
put
for
this all
joining.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if there's any audio errors, send your notes to Robert.
Blame Ross. There you go.
All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks.